So, Juan and I both played football for over a decade. Um, we enjoy a good football movie. So, we wanted to give you a rundown of some of our favorite all-time football movies. I've kind of got, I've got a top 10 that's kind of honorable mention plus my top 5 in no order. And then I've got some that I think are, I'll give you my 2 cents on the ones I think are overrated. But I wanted to go ahead and let you start us off here. And let's hear what you got for us.
Yeah, I mean, really, I've kind of got like a top 8. I mean, I could easily make top 15. I just felt strong about this top 8 just for different reasons, I guess. Um, Various reasons. So I'll go ahead and start it off here. Now, if you know me, you know that I am a fan of Notre Dame football. I like Notre Dame as a whole. I don't know. I mean, hey, I always tell people if you wanna understand why I'm a fan of what I'm a fan of when it comes to college sports, just ask my brother, because growing up there was a 10-year age difference. So I liked everything that he liked. Everything that he did, I did. And I carry that on still to this day. And also, he went to, we were raised Catholic. He went to private school from kindergarten all the way through high school. I did not. But just another fact there. It makes sense. Number one for me, Rudy. It's got to be Rudy.
Rudy.
Rudy Rudiger. Phenomenal story. Phenomenal story. Fabricated. A lot of it, they definitely they embellished a little bit. For instance, I read a recent quote. Jeez, I think it was from Mr. Joe Montana himself. um, but he was like, "Did Rudy get carried off the field? Yes, he did, but it was by like 2 of the linemen, and it was as a joke." Were they chanting his name as he was getting carried off the field? Absolutely not. It was a joke. Did he actually get in the game? Did he actually make a sack? He did. He got in the game. He made a good play. The only reason that the team and some people were chanting his name was more of a joke. He was the joke on the team. But nonetheless, he did make the team how he made the team. Extremely hard. I mean, at any time to make it, as a walk on, especially for a storied program like Notre Dame. It's just such a damn good movie. It's
There's
just
such
so
a
good.
such a you're not going to get any arguments from me about Rudy. I've got Rudy in my top 5, probably at number 1 as well. Um, I get chills when I watch that movie, man. Like it's so uplifting to see somebody, go through the struggles and get beat
Yeah.
down and rejected at every turn and just be relentless and finally be able to break through. Got some great acting in that movie too. Sean Astin. Um, you got a very young Vince Vaughn makes a cameo appear. I don't know if that's technically a cameo at that point, but yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't know young Vince Vaughn was in that flick.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of his best friend's name. He's a
Pete.
director.
Well, his name in the movie
Right,
is Pete.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. What's the actor's name?
Oh, don't do that to me. Jeez. That's gonna
I
kill
gotta look
me.
it up now. I gotta look it
Yep,
up.
yep, yep. Look it up. Look it up.
Who's the
Well,
wild man now?
yeah, who's the Yeah. You know what's crazy? And that's the soundtrack to that movie is amazing.
Hmm.
And I actually started listening to classical music, even though that's not, it's not classical music, but I mean, it's just, I mean, like I started listening to classical music when I was younger because that influenced me to find similar music to that soundtrack. And I started listening to classical because of that movie. Yeah.
John
Yeah.
Favreau is the actor's name.
Oh,
He
duh.
It's funny
Jeez.
that him and Vince Vaughn were both in that because they were in like Swingers together. They've been in a ton of
He,
movies together, I feel like. He's
Pete
a
was the one who
director now.
yeah, Pete was the one who passed away. Sorry. It's not John Favreau that passed away in the movie.
Oh yeah, Pete was
Childhood
his
best friend.
worker in the
Yeah,
mill or whatever that got, yeah,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen Rudy, so I'm a little bit rusty on
Same.
the ins and outs, to be perfectly honest.
Same.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, John Favreau, classic. He actually, fun fact, I believe wrote and directed The Mandalorian, the new Star
Wow.
Wars series. So
That's
showing
pretty
his
crazy.
versatility there, Mr. Favreau.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Favreau
yeah,
and
man.
Swingers is classic. That movie's classic. Let's go find some beautiful babies, baby. Come on. She's just a beautiful baby. Come on,
Look at this bear
baby.
with these claws, and you're trying. Yeah, all time classic there. Um, okay, good. So we're 1 for 1 right now, Rudy.
Yeah.
If you don't like Rudy, then F you.
Yeah, right.
No,
Yeah,
but seriously.
seriously. So coming in at number 2 for me, for so many reasons. I mean, this movie, it covers so many different um just so many different aspects, and at that time, what people had to get over at that time, and it's so relevant to what we're going through now. And I feel like this is why so many people believe sports to be so important, is because, and you can attest to this, and anyone who's ever been on a sports team, it's the jersey color, it's the team. Nothing else matters. That's your teammate. 100%. Like, that is your teammate. That's one thing that I think is invaluable about kids being involved in sports at such a young age, is it teaches you from the jump. If for some reason you don't learn it in the household, which, shame on you, fucking terrible parents, excuse me, but terrible parents for not to, but everyone is equal, especially when you're on that team. It just teaches you growing up. Remember the Titans coming in number 2, 100% for me. That movie, very, 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 very powerful. Um, and it just shows you, man. It's like, look, no matter what your differences are off the field. And I've been on a lot of teams where, especially when I got older, I didn't necessarily like the person that was on my team outside of practice or outside of a game. I didn't necessarily get along with them. I didn't agree with what they had going on. But the moment we stepped on the field, that was my dude, and I had their back, and he was a part of me. Um, so remember the Titans coming in at number 2 for sure for me.
Yeah, I've definitely got Titans in my top five. I'm probably a lesser of a fan than most people on that movie, but most likely just because so many people love that movie so much. I mean, I think it's a great movie. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to try to hate on Remember the Titans completely with what you said about, being able to bring people across cultures together. There's a really powerful message within that movie. Of course, you got Denzel, always amazing.
Yeah.
Some pretty good football footage in that movie too, and that's one thing I really appreciate in my list, which you'll hear about some more whenever you're done here. But yeah, I can't disagree with you. I've definitely got Remember the Titans in my top five as well. Um, Very timely in today's world,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to tell a personal story about kind of my coming around, from where I grew up to living in Philadelphia. But I'll save that for later. But yeah, Remember the Titans. Love that movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and of course you can never go wrong with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, you got that
And
right.
actually, I'm glad you said that about the football footage, because that's really how I think of, or what I was taking into account whenever I was thinking of, like my top 8 here. Because at the end of the day, like, okay, like I love the backstory and everything. I love getting a little bit of a look at each character, but at the end of the day, I want to see some football on screen. So, coming in at number 3, I actually did this monologue and got an A when I was in high school. I did the monologue of Al Pacino, the Inches speech, or that monologue. So number 3 is Any Given Sunday for me. Steamin' Willie Beeman, Jamie Foxx, aka Mr. Do It All. Um, yeah, I mean that movie was cool to me because great football action. It's a super rated R movie, super rated R. But that's also what I loved about it, because especially like if you have aspirations to go pro or get to a certain level, it gives you a look at like, hey man, there's some grown men, and like when you get to that level, man, you got to be nasty. Like you got to be a violent human being to be a professional football player. And to me, that's what that movie showed, and also showed how politics plays such a big part, I feel like, in sports. But yeah, Any Given Sunday for me, huge. Number 3.
So this is where we start to diverge a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I've got Any Given Sunday in one of my most overrated football movies category.
Oh,
And
dang.
I'll tell you why. It's got an amazing cast. You've got Jamie Foxx, Al Pacino, Randy Quaid or Dennis Quaid, one of the Quaids,
Dennis Quaid.
Cameron
Dennis
Diaz.
Quaid, yeah.
It just, to me, like,
Bill Bellamy. You can't forget Bill Bellamy coming in.
get out of here. It just seemed like it just fell short of what I expected it to be. And I mean, probably a lot of my opinion on that is because like I didn't see it when it first came out. And so I had all these people telling me, oh, it's the greatest sports movie like ever, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, the Willie Beeman character is classic. And like Al Pacino, like the speech you're talking about was one of the most classic scenes in any sports movie there was.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know, man. It just seemed like overproduced. Like it fell short. Like the football scenes didn't do it for me at all in that movie. It just seemed like unnecessarily vulgar at points.
Super rated R, yeah.
And then you talk about like, you got to be nasty and this and that. And I feel like it almost glorified that point to where people that played the game that wanted to imitate that, like unnecessarily went out of their character to try to be something like grossly misguided. And
Okay.
like, I just didn't really connect with the movie at all. The storyline felt kind of forced to me. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't click with me.
Yeah, yeah. Also, geez, what's the guy's name who plays the team doctor? Brilliant actor. Jeez, you know what I'm talking about? He plays the team. Oh man, he's been in so many films, so many. I've got to get this right now. Oh man, so many films this guy's been in. James Woods. James Woods.
Trying to think
Jimmy
of his face.
Woods. James Wood. He was Dr. Harvey in there. Yeah, plus you had Jim Brown in there. You had Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Eckhart. I mean, LL Cool J, Oliver Stone.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's star-studded. And it's like, you would think it's the best movie of all time, but it just like, it didn't gel for me. Like, I just
yeah. I think I was always hoping they would make a sequel, because, they give the storyline at the end where they Al Pacino and Jamie Foxx, they go to like a different league or a different team. I forget. I always wish they would have made a sequel, and then maybe it would have made the first one a little bit better. I definitely understand your reasoning behind that, though. I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna piss some people off with that, but I mean, I'm sorry. It's just the way I feel. I did not vibe with that movie as much as most people did.
Number 4, people forget this one. And okay, I'll just tell it like it is. In any sport that I was like, okay, you're not ever gonna see me talking smack in basketball, okay? Because I'm not a very good basketball player, all right. But if I'm good at a sport, I'm gonna talk a lot. I'm gonna let you know it, because like especially the neighborhood I grew up in, man, you talk trash. If you can't handle trash talking, no. Like I've always said, like if I ever have kids, I'm taking them to like I'm taking my kids if they really want to learn how to play ball. I'm taking them to the hood. I'm taking them somewhere. I'm taking them to whatever gym, wherever where there's trash talking, so they can learn how to really play the game, how to play physical, how to play the mind game of the game as well. So
Trying to think of where you're going with this. Like I could pinpoint the other ones when you were talking about them. I have no idea where you're going with this.
a lot of people forget about this one, man. The program,
Oh, okay.
the program, the linebacker, my guy. Um, I feel so bad. He ends up having a season-ending injury. Of course, you've got Steve Latimer. Remember that guy? That
Yeah, he paints
character?
his face like a skull, and he's the steroid guy. He
Yeah.
ends up replacing the original starter. Is it a linebacker? I thought they were D linemen.
No. So the one I'm talking about, so Latimer, he was a D lineman. The actor's name is Dwayne Davis, and he plays Alvin Mack.
Yeah, Alvin Mack. He like gets a gruesome knee injury.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah.
crack. He gets high load. He gets cracked back on, but he gets high load. And it just
Oh,
completely
I
tears his knee
completely
up.
get why you're talking about because he was the best trash talker in that movie. Oh my
Oh
gosh,
man,
yes,
I love
absolutely.
it, dude. It sends chills. It sends chills. He's like, I remember you. You're the one that got my brother locked away. He's like, man. He's talking to the running back. He's like, man, that ain't me. He's like, yes, it is you. You thought I wouldn't find you. I found you now. I got you now, sucker. I'm like, let's go, let's go.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. I'm
love
totally
that
with you
movie.
on the program, man. Super underrated. I've got it on my top five for sure.
Yeah,
Checks a lot of the boxes for me. It's real and it's gritty and it's not in like a cheesy kind of way. The football in the movie is great. Um, I think what's it? Kane, Joe Kane, or I forget his
Joe
first
Kane.
name.
Joe
Joe
Kane.
Kane. Yeah,
Yep, Joe Kane.
I love that character because it kind of dives into the mental toll of being an athlete at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's a guy that you would think would be on the top of the world, but he's like suicidal, and he's battling with his family's demons, and that kind of comes out in his attitude on and off the field. Oh my gosh, dude, I don't have like I cannot say enough good things about that movie for how
Yeah.
real and accurate it is.
Totally, totally. Yeah, that's something I always enjoyed uh, about that movie for sure. Number five, getting back to high school, and the main reason why I have this as my number five. I actually I like the football action. I hated how they filmed it. I hated how they filmed it. Actually, it was one thing that always bothered me about this movie. But at the end of the day, when it came to the pressure that was put on by the community, to be great, how absurd it was for um, all the entire community and really the whole state just to put all this pressure on these high school kids, which happens all over the country, really, especially in bigger states. And it just gives you an idea. And also too, like whenever we were in high school, I mean, we didn't really feel like a lot of pressure just because like my high school team, we had never won the state championship until my senior year. We were always a top five football team in our class every single year since the 90s. But we had never broken through. But we definitely put the pressure when after we won it on everybody. We're like, look, we got it, so you better not ever lose it again. And they lost. But number five is Friday Night Lights for me. Friday Night
Friday
Lights.
Night Lights. No, I thought
Yeah,
you were gonna say something completely different there. Oh
yeah.
man.
And maybe it's because I recently watched it because I wanted to go back and watch it to see like, man, like, did I really like? I don't know. I just the way they followed those characters in the movie, especially Booby. I mean, dude, Booby Miles, man, it just that always hits me so hard because I never had a season-ending injury in high school. Um, I did have a career-ending injury, but just knowing a few people like that in high school that either had injuries whenever they had something else happen to them, and that hit home for me, especially watching it back where they had multiple full ride scholarships and then something happened to them, and then after that their life was completely different. And I mean, you're talking whenever you're 17, 18 years old, life changing events for the entirety of your life. It's pretty intense. So that's for me why number 5, Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, so I thought you were gonna say Varsity Blues, man, when you started talking about high school and the pressure on the kids and from
That's
this whole state and like Texas football and everything. And then
okay.
like
That's
with the whole
that's my
injury
number
thing,
6. That's
yeah, you
that's my
like
number 6. That's my number 6.
Lance goes down and he goes from being like a Florida Lance is right to Florida State. Uh
Yeah, yeah.
he ends up being a coach from that point forward. He never ends up playing again. You've just got the absolute mixture of personalities from your Charlie Tweeter to your Billy Bob to, I mean, Mox and Lance are completely different. They play the same position, and I feel like that happens a lot. And you get thrust into these positions and on these teams and spending so much time with these people. And sometimes it can be difficult dealing with the different personalities and the wide spectrum of characters that you have on a team with 100 plus people sometimes.
Hmm.
Plus, I love the action in that movie. I loved the Bud Kilmer kind of like I'm bigger than everybody portrayal, and like I love that movie. Super cheesy. I get that,
Yeah.
but it's a great blend of kind of on the field realistic drama, but also, humor and comedy and the fun side of things as well. But then also like, when Billy Bob has his breakdown talking about we were just kids, Mox, and like putting
Yeah.
those kids through so much. Like that's definitely in my top 5. I love that movie. Um Friday Night Lights, I have in my most overrated category. And
That's fine. Yeah.
this is probably petty on me. I do love the Booby character, but I mean, I had seen the season injury portrayal from Varsity Blues before, and I had my track career ended on an injury that was really disappointing. So on a certain level, I connect with that as well. But I mean, then this is a small detail of the movie, but it just irritated me so much that I can't with that movie. And it completely took me out of the experience. Is that movie is based what in the 1980s?
Yeah, it's like mid to late 80s. I think like 86, 87, somewhere around there.
And then when you get on the field, they're with like decked out in Under Armour gear and like dry
Yeah.
fits and
Yeah.
visors and all this stuff that did not exist in the 80s.
That's a
Why
good
did they
point.
put that stuff in the movie? I cannot get over that to this day. It's like they did a
Yeah.
great job developing the characters and building a storyline and staying kind of real and true to this time period. And then you do something like that to completely like remove you from the experience. It's like, wait, are they playing in 2000 or I thought this was the 80s? Like what? It took me so far out of the movie experience that I just couldn't get back into it. And it pissed me off because I was so into it up until that point. And then it was like, dude, this is stupid. Like, why? Like, why did they do
Yeah.
that?
That is a really good point, actually, and I remember thinking the same thing. I guess I just kind of forgotten about it. I wasn't as pissed as you were, obviously, at that. But no, that is true, and it's a good point because the cars they drove, the lingo they used, the clothes they wore, all were really in that time. You know,
Yeah, they did a great
it
job
was
of
to the
creating the
times.
environment and the
Yeah.
setting.
And then, just like you said, yeah, I mean, even the equipment they use, them, come on, man. Like,
They
in
got like
that,
brand new helmets and Under Armour dry, like Nike dry
yeah,
fits and like banded
yeah.
up and like visors and like get out of here with that, dude. Like no, no, no,
It,
no, 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 no.
even the jerseys, like back in those times, everyone's jersey was loose, you know?
Yeah. They could
Yeah.
have at least done like the
Uh,
U where they like tucked the jerseys up and had like the midriff exposed or something like that. Like just
right.
be true to the time frame. Like it took me out of the movie so bad, man. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't do it with that movie after that point.
That's funny. That's funny. No, I agree. I agree. Still, I still, it is my number. It's funny because like for me, my 1 and 2, one being Rudy, two being those are kind of like 1 and 1A for me. My 5 and 6, five being Friday Night Lights, six coming in at Varsity Blues. Those are kind of like 5 and 5A to me. In a way, I mean, really, those are kind of tied. I mean, but and I definitely agree with exactly what you said. For me, also Varsity Blues, like um, we had our defensive coordinator. Um, I think he left. Yeah, he left going into our junior year. There was not one person in our freshman or sophomore class that liked this guy. I mean, he was just like he was like evil. He was like pure evil. And it's almost like he woke up and he was like, "Man, I can't wait to ruin some kids' days today." You
Yeah.
know,
And
and he was.
that's sorry, I just had to interject there. That's something that really subconsciously I identified with because,
Mm-hmm,
I played for almost 20 years and I had very few coaches that I really appreciated. Like my coaches in college were amazing.
mm-hmm.
And however, like my high school coaches, I had three different head coaches in 4 years.
Yeah,
So
I
like
can't
I had no
imagine that.
continuity. I had nobody that I connected with. And like my senior year, we brought in this guy that we played a completely different style of football. And he came in with this like military, like grinded out mentality that I just did. He and I never connected. And like you're saying, that just like wants to make your life miserable for like absolutely no reason at all. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm,
really agreed, or I really connected with that give and take between the players being the ones that are actually playing versus this kind of dictator head of the team that's like it's my way or the highway. Um, so yeah, that's something I hadn't really thought about that I appreciate about Varsity Blues. But yeah,
for
you're dead
sure.
on that.
For sure, and you know, after he left, he took a head coaching job at another school. We were also relieved. Our team was an entirely different team, just the energy, the atmosphere, but still, our head coach, man, I tell you what, dude. And this is where I connected the most with Varsity Blues, is because where I went to high school, for people who have no clue who we are, where I went to high school, it was a very young football team. Okay, I went to public school all my life and then went to private high school, and it was more of a prep school for sports. Okay, and my brother, again, 10 years older than me, he was an eighth grader whenever they first started the high school football team. So he dressed at varsity because the team was so small as an eighth grader. So he was on the first football team the school ever had. So I was always around the program growing up, and I always looked up to the program. And they had the same head coach from day one. And I knew that one day I was going to play for him. And my interactions with him growing up as a child, going into middle school, were always phenomenal. He actually even came to one of my middle school games. My team in middle school, we sucked. We were terrible. Okay, we were so bad. We went like
Yeah.
0-8.
Funny
Oh,
thing, you played on the Packers, right? Or are you talking
uh,
about at Southern?
I'm talking about Southern, but yeah, I did play on the
Oh, okay.
Packers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So and we
remember.
always scrimmaged them.
Yeah, because I played at Lexington Catholic Middle School. I ended up going to public school for high school, but
Yeah.
yeah, we scrimmaged the Packers. We smacked them down so hard. Um, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
funny. you're talking about the head coach at that time. Quick side story. When I was 15, I refereed flag football for first through fourth graders at Lexington Catholic. And the head coach's son was either in third or fourth grade, but he was on one of the teams that was in the playoffs when it came time to that. And I remember, I'll never forget this. He was sitting on the sidelines in a lawn chair. The head coach of the varsity team was, and his son caught a touchdown pass, which would have won the game for them. But he literally took his defender and threw him to the ground. The poor kid fell down. So he's wide open. So I flagged him for pass interference. Like, before he even caught the ball, the flag was out. And of course, like as soon as I let the call out, dude, he was up out of that chair an inch from my face. Like, are you effing kidding me? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I got threatened for my life so bad refereeing flag football for little kids, man.
Yeah. That's exactly like what Kilmer. What if Kilmer was a real person? That's exactly who it would be. Honestly, yeah. And I mean, like looking back, I feel like our coach in high school really was that. And so going back, I idolized him growing up. I really did. And coming in as a freshman, again, my team, we sucked, but I was player of the year. Okay. And all the middle school teams, they knew exactly who I was because I was one of the very few good players on my team. So they would always talk trash to me. All we got to do is stop that guy, and it's game over. So everyone knew who I was. There was a bit of a buzz, and like I said, he actually attended one of the games, and I had my best game that game in middle school. And I mean, my family was close with him. Anyway, so going in, I had very high expectations that he and I would become extremely close. And it was the opposite. I mean, after sophomore year, when he had me change positions, he brought me in his office and was like, look, we don't run the system like we used to that you expected coming in here. So if you switch this position, you can get on the field as a sophomore for varsity. What do you want to do? Of course, I just want to play. Put me on the field, and we did. But then junior year, he sabotaged my football career straight up. And I'm not the only one. He did that with multiple kids. And if he was having a bad day, you were having a bad week. And and he would always pick, 3 or 4 people each year and only promote those kids, his favorites. He would never promote the team. And this is not just my opinion. I went back and I, for people who don't know, I went back and I actually coached in my alma mater because he left after we won the state championship my senior year. I went back after my freshman year of college and I coached for 5 years. I know. I mean, I know. And a lot of those coaches were still on the same staff. So they were my colleagues, and they would tell me over the years, yeah, man, you're right. Like, he actually did this to you. Or in the discussions of, okay, we've got 20 seniors, let's rank them. And I would always be like in the top, 10 or 12 or whatever. And they would say, okay, we're going to concentrate. We're going to push these kids. And my name would always fall off the list. Or schools would call and ask about me. And no, he ain't going to cut it. You don't want him. So, I mean, like, how evil of a human being, total scumbag, that guy. And that's Kilmer. At the same time, he was an amazing coach, just like Kilmer, and he knew how to win. He knew how to win, and I'll give him that. You can never take that away from him. But not a good person.
So my senior year, I had a similar but different experience with our head coach, brand new head coach, like I was just saying. We were really good that year. We went 10-3. We only lost to 2 different teams. But I thought we had a really pretty stacked senior class. And the next year, they won 1 game. I think over the next 3 years, they won a combined 4 games.
They were pretty
like
terrible.
That.
Yeah, they were terrible.
And we were good. Like, we went to the state semis 2 years I was there. We lost to a nationally ranked quarterback in Brian Brom at Trinity. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high school player. So, like, we were playing some good competition. But this coach, like, same kind of thing. Like, when recruiters called and stuff, he he just had something about the wide receiver position, and that people that played it were like prima donnas, because he came from this like wing T style where he just wanted to pound it up the middle and like do nothing but run the ball.
Yeah.
So like he definitely had played favorites with who he would talk to recruiters about. And thankfully our offensive coordinator and I were on the same page, and our offensive coordinator was the coach that ended up like I had gotten interviewed by the Herald Leader, and I had some quotes in there about like, yeah, Harvard and Yale had recruited me, but I probably am not going to be able to afford it, so I doubt I'm going to be able to go to a school like that. And then the next week, the recruiter from Penn was at my high school, and he was an old friend of our offensive coordinator. So he really hooked me up and pulled some strings behind the scenes for me. Whereas like our head coach, dude, he hated me just because of the position I played. Really, I think like
Yeah.
because I was a hardworking guy. Like I was at practice working every day. Like I had good grades. Like you didn't have to worry about me off the field. Like, yeah, man. So just like I totally feel you on not connecting and kind of the politics of the sport and playing
It's crazy.
favorites. It's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah, because I mean, it dictated so much, especially at that time. I mean, it's dictating your entire life leading up to that point. And I'll never forget, it's a coach that he was on the defensive side. He and I butted heads a lot, and we had deep roots. We grew up in the same neighborhood. He and I butted heads a lot throughout high school. And maybe it's just because we came from the same neighborhood and we like to talk trash to each other. I don't know. But he didn't like it because he had a kid that had a little bit of swag and was like, hey, man, you're not going to talk trash to me. I'm going to hit you back with it. So anyway, he even came up to me one day in practice, and this is like a little bit later in the season, and I had like suffered like a little bit of like a stinger, and so I was trying. I mean, I was still practicing every day, but I was trying not to do like hitting drills, like tackling drills or anything like that. And I was going kind of like half speed, and he came up to me and he pulled me to the side. He was like, "Hey, man, I know you're banged up, but I just want to let you know this is like the X amount of week in a row that coach pulled your name out to send to colleges." And he said, "I'm telling you this because if he sees you going half-ass in these drills, he's never going to put your name in." He said, "We're trying to put your name in. We want you to go to the next level, but he's taking it right out." And for him to say that, I mean, that absolutely blew my mind. I mean, we got so heated one time because he wasn't playing me enough on the defensive side of the ball that I got in his face and cussed him out and tossed my helmet because because the guy that I was going to go in for, he was so winded. We were all playing both ways. I'm like, dude, let me in. He puts me in early in the game because he's winded. Get back, boom, hit the running back in the backfield, force a fumble. It was one of our biggest games. Force a fumble. And then after that, I get no clock. So, I mean, me and him really butted heads a lot. And so for him to say that, it was crazy. Anyway, Kilmer.
Hey, I got two real
Kilmer.
more quick things since you got me fired up here. And I don't know when I'll have another chance to tell these stories. My junior year, I loved running track. It was my favorite thing in high school. And the new coach had come in the winter to run our off-season weight program, and then, you know, of course, spring ball. So spring ball comes around, and like my track coach is like, you need to be at track practice every day. And my football coach is like, you need to be at football practice every day. So it was a back and forth. And, you know, I ended up going one day at one, the next day at the other, which satisfied neither of them. I actually got kicked out of track practice for it one time. But I ended up going to the state finals for track, and I had to miss this was post spring ball now, one of our off like summer workouts, because this is like end of May. I want to say like first week of June was the state finals. So I just missed like a lifting session. And literally we ended up winning. We won state. My relay team won the title. And I came back to the next week to go lift for football. And our OC comes up to me. He's like, "Bales, dude, congrats. I heard you guys won." And I'm like, "You know, thanks, blah, blah, blah." and I look at the head coach thinking he's going to dap me up or something, and he cold shoulders me, dude. He doesn't even say hi. He's like so pissed off about me missing a weightlifting session to go run. Not even like I'm at home playing video games or something. He was so
Yeah.
salty about that. He wouldn't even say hi or look at me when I came into
In the
lifting the
state
next day.
championship. In the
Yeah,
state
dude.
championship.
Oh my gosh, man. So then I probably don't even want to tell that other story. Like, yeah, dude, he was just nah. He ended up getting fired, or I don't know if he got fired or he quit, but he was still a gym teacher at the school. And he would try to talk kids out of joining the football program and saying, like, I'm going to give you a bad grade in PE class if you try out for the football team. That's how
Evil.
scummy of a guy this was.
Evil, yeah. Super scummy. Super
And I'm
scummy.
pretty sure he ended up getting fired because he was hooking up with one of the girls at the school, with one of the students.
Makes sense.
And he was a
sounds like
married guy
scumbag.
with multiple kids. Yeah,
Scumbag
that's the type
move.
of person you're dealing with. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry to derail the combo there, but I had to get that off my chest, man.
No, yeah, we both did it. That's okay. That's totally okay. Yeah,
He was such a baby. He thought we were going to lose. My second to last game, my senior year, we were playing Scott County in the regionals in the tournament. It went to double overtime. We ended up winning the game. That was the highlight of my career. It's actually this picture right here.
Yeah.
That was second overtime, third and goal from like 15, 20 yards out. Our head coach wanted to run the ball and our OC wanted to pass the ball. And they had gotten into an argument about calling plays. Fourth down came the series before this, and we threw an incomplete pass, but the guy grabbed me, so I kind of flailed a little bit and got a PI call. But the coaches at that point thought the game was over. And our head coach had ripped – my uncle tells this story hilariously. Our head coach had ripped his headset off and smashed it. And they literally – two of our coaches had to be separated on the sidelines because they were fighting each other. Our head coach was like a juice head, like absolute steroid psychopath. And so now we've got a fresh set of downs. And he's got to like get back into coaching mode. So just he had given up on our team. And then, so we called 2 running plays in a row. And then we also got a penalty. So that's why we had lost yardage. It's, you start 1st and 10, it was like 3rd and 15 or whatever. And then we just kind of threw a Hail Mary to the end zone and I caught it and, we won. But they had like the bond had been broken already by that point. So like that next week of practice, dude, was the most awkward week of my entire life. Like nobody on the team wanted to be there. And it's not like this was some kind of like isolated thing where like everybody saw what happened. And so like the coaches didn't want to be there. None of the players wanted to be there. Like we were so disorganized that week, man. We got a delay of game penalty on the first play of the game.
That's bad. That's
the
bad.
next week. Yeah. It's never happened in my life, dude. Usually I have the first like 10 to 20 plays scripted. So it's like, exactly what you want to run. We had a script and our head coach was like, no, I want to do this. And they kind of got into an argument on the sidelines again. Delay of game for the opening play of the game in the playoffs, man.
The losers.
Yeah, and after the game, I'm like, good. Like, I'm glad this season's over. I'm done standing out in the cold with all these people. Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm sure we could go on and on because, I mean, I've just scratched the surface on my experiences there.
So fired up, man. Triggered.
Yeah.
You start talking about head coaches like that, and I got triggered like crazy. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Coach Timony, though, my track coach. He was the best, probably the best all-around coach I ever had in my life.
Timony,
he's running for something in Kentucky, one of the representatives. If you're in his district, vote Killian Timony. That's my guy.
Yeah. I didn't even go to that school, and I remember he was a cool guy. Yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah. The dynamic changed so much after my so much after my sophomore year, and I will have to say shout out to the man, Bill Letton. If he ever hears this, Coach Letton, he knows I love him. That's so he actually took over the head coaching job. That's who I worked for whenever I was a coach there. But then my sophomore year, the defensive coordinator, he left, and then we got the blessing that was Bill Letton. First year he was O-line coach, and or maybe he came my sophomore year. Yeah, no, he was O-line and D coordinator. Is it? Either way, he took over the defense, completely changed our program, and just the vibe that he brought, and the knowledge that he brought, absolutely amazing. That guy was amazing. That guy, that coach is he's a guy who actually cared about the players, and he wanted he. I mean, the amount of kids after we left that went and played small college ball under him, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Whereas if you weren't going to Michigan, or if you weren't going to Nebraska, or if you weren't going to Miami, the U, if you weren't going to a major school with the other head coach, you didn't matter. You didn't matter at all. Anyway, that's the last I'll say on all that. That's a whole other discussion. We'll have to bring Will and the guys on to you talk about a round table. I'd love to get some of the greats on here. Shout out Teddy Saberna and Salem Simpson
Teddy.
and all those guys. But anyway, okay, back to this list. A lot of feelings about Varsity Blues coming in at number 6, obviously.
It's got to be top 5, man. Varsity Blues has got to be top 5.
Like I said, it could easily switch with Friday Night Lights for me. Looking back, it probably deserves the number 5 slot. So number 7, for me, it was just such a cool story. More of like a drama than like an actual like football movie, I guess. But still, like the football action was good, and it's just an overall just really good story that everyone kind of needs to hear. And I'd have to go with The Blind Side coming in at number 7. I really liked that movie. No, you didn't like it, huh? Like, what
Not
movie
feeling
is
that.
better? No,
Not
no,
feeling that
not at
at
number
all.
7.
No, no way,
I,
dude. No,
I
not
like The
top
Blind
10.
Side.
No way.
For
I mean,
me, like yeah, like I said, I've only got a top 8 here, and they're all really after like 5 and 6. They all just kind of have like different reasons. I was gonna do like a top 15, but I just rounded it out to a top 8. We don't have to touch on The Blind Side. Number 8, just because it was a classic
Well,
growing up for
let's
me.
talk about it for a second. I mean, since you brought it up.
Well, okay. I mean, for me, it was a very unique story because I didn't really have any idea about Michael Orr's story at all until the movie. Um, Interesting how like two rich white parents just kind of brought him in, but also a blessing. I mean, tuition was not cheap at my high school, and you know, I got some aid, so I know how it is. But
I
there
was
were
gonna
other,
say, I'm sure there was some people that you played with at Catholic that had a similar situation.
especially during my time there, and that's probably why we won state and everything.
Well,
you
that's
know,
also why it's one of the most hated schools in the region because there are allegations of recruiting to that school, and I think
mm-hmm.
pretty credible.
Yeah, 100%. At the same time, like I think it's just because Lexington's so small. Um, but I mean, in Louisville, I mean, I know plenty of kids that got recruited to go to Trinity or St. X or wherever. I mean, it's not a big deal up there. I'm pretty sure you can choose where you go to high school. You have isn't that right? Like, it doesn't matter what. I feel like that's a thing. Like, it doesn't matter which high school or middle school you go to. You can go to whatever high school.
I don't know enough about it to comment, and I'm not
Okay.
trying to hate on Lexington Catholic. I was just saying that's definitely a narrative that's out there. I mean, all of my older brothers went to Lexington Catholic at least for 2 years, if not 4. Like I said, I played. I went I went K through 8 a mile up the street from Lexington Catholic at Mary Queen, which was a feeder school. put all my middle school basketball and football over there. So I'm not trying to hate by any means. Just was throwing that out there as a narrative that does exist.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, for me, I think it's amazing because, especially in my experience there, and for me, even for me personally, coming from public to go there and receive, I mean, dude, I would work there throughout the summer sometimes. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I remember painting the field. I remember picking up trash. I mean, it's character building stuff, and also like I wanted to be there. Like I wanted to play sports there. I wanted to go there, and no matter if like the kids accept me or not, like I had my public school group, that was super tight, and there were so many kids from all over. I mean, I feel like that's why, athletic wise, we were so special at that point. I apologize. This is, oh my gosh,
Yeah, for me, just getting back to the blind side, like the
sorry
story
that
is
I don't know if you heard
incredible.
that or not.
I did know the story before I saw the movie, so I wasn't necessarily blown away by the way they portrayed it. I just thought it was kind of like, and I generally like Sandra Bullock too, but I didn't like her role in that movie. Um, I didn't really like the football in that movie. It just, I didn't click with that movie at all.
Yeah, right on, right on. Like I said, I thought it was entertaining. I mean, really after those six, I mean, I don't really see very many other solid ones after that because number eight, I'll go back again. This is just a childhood favorite of mine. Kind of like how Mighty Ducks influenced me to go play hockey, which I did for a couple seasons. Um, I was already playing football at the time that this came out, but Little Giants definitely.
I thought you might mention that one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, come on, man. Little Giants is
It's a
all time
classic. It's
classic
a
movie.
classic.
Icebox. Come on, you got Spike.
I loved when they popped the Alka Seltzers to make it look like they were like foaming at the mouth. Yeah, dude, that's a classic. It's a classic
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, like the Sandlot for
Intimidation.
football.
Yeah. Got our names in the back so the guys at the morgue can identify the bodies. So classic. So
Oh
classic.
man.
Yeah, yeah. But Little Giants for me, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna get Michael Irvin's number, the big 88. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, plus, they were the going against the Cowboys, uh, which the Cowboys were super good back then. But anyway, yeah. So that would be my top eight. That's what we'll round it off.
I like your top eight. You definitely hit on a couple that, as I said, are probably on my overrated list. Not probably, definitely are. Any reason you went with eight? Does it kind of like fall off a cliff there for you, or what? You know?
It does start to fall off. I mean, really, I would probably rank now. Looking back, I'd probably rank Little Giants above The Blind Side, and I mean, I might even bring in something like I don't know, like I don't know. It's just there's so many gimmicky movies, football movies like Waterboy and like The Longest Yard and like movies like that. Like I just didn't even want to add those in. Like the most gimmicky movie I've got is Little Giants, and that's when we were kids.
Well, let me go ahead and get into the rest of my list.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I want to hear this.
So we were, Rudy. So my top five. Well, let me give you the honorable mentions that are just outside of the top five for me.
Okay.
Um, I did like The Longest Yard. I actually liked both versions a lot. Um, just kind of, going back to that whole idea of all the different characters on a team and so many different types of personalities coming together. I enjoyed the Burt Reynolds version. I enjoyed the Adam Sandler version. So just figured I'd kind of honorable mention those as a singular there. I thought the concept was pretty cool, like the inmates versus the guards. Like, um, I don't know. I mean, yeah, definitely gimmicky, but I thought the football scenes were pretty good. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't more story than there was football, like in some movies. Like, it had a good ratio of, practice life and training life and then being on the field with the team. So I enjoyed both of those. So shout out Longest Yard. Kind of along those lines, Gridiron Gang, which
Yeah.
I'm kind of a Dwayne the Rock Johnson fanboy, so I had to give a shout out to The Rock there because I know that's not a great movie, but I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Um, kind of along the same lines of cheesiness, I threw The Replacements on there.
It's a fun movie. It's
I
fun. It's
I like
fun.
that movie. It's fun, man.
Yeah, it's just fun.
You've got good boy or good guy QB Shane Falco, has a checkered past, let his team down and everybody kind of turned on him. So you've got that redemption arc there. Um, I like that movie a lot. There's a lot of good characters on there as well.
Yeah.
It's very on the field focused. Um, I think that's a movie that not a lot of people liked. So I feel like I'm in the minority there, but I really enjoyed The Replacements. Um, Another one that I think is really underrated that I'm probably in the minority in, at least with the people I've talked to, is Draft Day.
Yeah. Draft day is not it listen, draft day is it's not bad. It's not bad. It kind of just keeps you at a certain level of attentiveness, I guess.
And I was skeptical of that movie because there is no actual football in that movie, but it's all
Right.
based around football. So
Mm-hmm.
it is and it isn't a football movie. You know what I mean? Um, I thought Kevin Costner did a great job. I thought the story engaged you in a way that I was kind of surprised by, being not about the actual on the field aspect of the game. And, I my kind of dream job would be to be a general manager for like an NBA or an NFL team. So I enjoyed a story centered around that side of the game because you go into the football doesn't last very long in the year. Like one of the reasons I love UFC is because it's a year long sport. But football, you've got September through January, and then you've got the next however many months of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So being a fan of an NFL team, you take all of this off-season speculation and like that kind of becomes your fix during the off-season. So I love watching the combine and I love seeing, people grade recruits and make trades and try to be creative with filling the roster. And the draft I think is so fun. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
do you draft on the best talent available? Do you draft for your team's need? What, just all of the ins and outs of that. I really appreciated the way that they were portrayed in that movie. Um, so I definitely understand people that didn't like it. I really did though, and I really appreciated. I thought they did a good job of following through with a concept.
Oh yeah.
So definitely wanted to throw Draft Day on there. You mentioned two of my three that I have written down for overrated, so I won't talk on those two, but I will say another movie I thought was overrated was Invincible.
Disney, man. Disney can't make a football movie. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
man. Disney can't make a football movie. No, no, no way.
And I like Mark Wahlberg too. And there were
Yeah,
parts of the movie that I really enjoyed. And I think I was living in Philly when that movie came out, so there was another
yeah.
layer there of getting to see the city from a different perspective. But yeah, man, it was just too Hollywood for me. And what really did it is at the end when they show the actual Vince Papale. So the movie kind of culminates in this scene, they take these tryout players and give the everyday man an opportunity to make the team. And Mark Wahlberg ends up making the team in a similar kind of Rudy fashion. You've got the arc of the low man ends up getting his day. And the movie kind of culminates in this scene where he's a gunner on the punt team and he makes this huge tackle and I think forces a fumble that they ended up recovering and ended up winning the game on the sequence because of that. They showed the actual footage of the play at the end of the movie, and it's a pick. Like he drills the guy before the ball gets there. Like it's an obvious penalty. It's clearly an illegal play. So like the whole culmination of this movie is based on like an illegal play, essentially. Like I would have,
Yeah,
I think that movie would have been better if they just left that out of it.
yeah,
So like,
and and when I say Disney can't make a football movie, I mean like an adult football movie. You know, I mean that's about the pros. You know, some hell, I don't know who made like the little giants and stuff. Like probably Disney. You know, that's
I think The Blind
kids.
Side might have been Disney. I'm
Well,
not, I'm
there you go.
pure guess, but I think that might have been.
Yeah, but no,
Uh,
I totally agree. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with Marky Mark, but yeah, overrated movie for sure.
yeah, just did not do it for me. Um, so in my top five, I've got Rudy, I've got Varsity Blues, I've got Remember the Titans, and I've got The Program, which probably one, two, three for me in no order would be Rudy, The Program, and Varsity Blues. I think those are my three favorite. I could watch those
Okay.
movies a lot. And I know you disagree with me because you just said it, but dude, I absolutely love The Water Boy.
Yeah, of course, but it's like, I mean, I guess technically I mean, well, yeah, it is. It is. It's a football movie, but
The big time football movie.
y'all remember when Bob Boucher came in? Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah.
love Adam Sandler, like as a huge guilty pleasure of mine. I grew up on Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore and him on SNL and his comedy CDs when those were a thing. So like I love Adam Sandler. I love the character he plays in that movie.
Yeah.
I love the dynamic of him being on like an absolute trash team. And I thought they did a good job of like making the unrealisticness work. Cause
Yeah.
like one player can take over a game. And I mean
Yeah.
the idea of winning a national championship or a bowl game or whatever they won in that movie with one guy that's a defensive player is ridiculous. But the movie is not serious enough to where that detracted from me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
some of those hits, like somebody was out
Yeah.
there getting the wood laid to them when they were making that movie.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I mean, the hits are definitely the hits are entertaining. It's just, Vicky Valancourt. Oh man.
I thought they do a great job of like building a moment. Like you knew exactly what was going to happen in that movie, but it was still fun to go along the journey. And like at the end of the day, when they make, the when they like when they recover the onside kick and then they end up throwing the halfback pass to the quarterback, like I don't know, man. That's just like I know it sounds ridiculous, but I get the chills sometime listening to the way they like incorporated a real crowd, like the crowd noise and the announcers and just
Hmm.
the build up to that point. I thought it was a really well done movie. Um, it's been a guilty pleasure of mine, but I could not leave that out of my top five because I've probably maybe other than Varsity Blues, I've seen that movie more than any other football movie, and I love that movie, man.
Right on. Right. I mean, hey, I mean, it is absolutely hysterical. Oh man. I tell you some ones that were kind of like alternatives to me. Definitely like on the back end. Radio, not bad.
I like that
Definitely,
movie.
yeah, it's definitely not bad. I mean, I'm not going to even put it anywhere near my top 10. The Express wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad of a movie. Uh, and
I
one that
watched that movie, but I don't remember anything about it.
It's not bad. Um, one that I actually grew up watching. Let me see what year this was actually this was made. Um, 1991. Yes, I mean this is super old. Sinbad as a football player. You know that movie?
Um, what is it?
Sinbad was on the team. Female kicker, necessary roughness.
Necessary Roughness. Yeah.
Texas State. Yeah, Texas State. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was that to me is kind of like on that like Waterboy, the Replacements, type range.
Oh,
But
dude, The Waterboy is so much better than that movie. Give me
well,
a
it is. It is.
break.
I'm just
Give
saying
me a break.
in that category of goofy football movies.
I feel you. There were
Yeah.
some that I don't really consider football movies that I saw on other people's lists, like The Last Boy Scout. Like, I mean, I guess that's a
What?
football movie, um, just because it's the main character. Well, one of the main characters is a football player, and I'll never forget that scene when he's on the field, and like I think he's running for a breakaway touchdown, and then he either scores or like he turns around before he scores and pulls out a gun and starts like capping people on the field. So that was one of the most memorable scenes in a football movie for me. I haven't seen that movie in probably 20 years, and I still remember that.
Jeez.
And then like Jerry Maguire is listed as a football movie, which I mean, I guess
Eh,
technically it is, but I mean that's an entertaining movie, but definitely not not worthy of the list as far as I'm concerned.
no,
Yeah.
no. Well, that's yeah. I mean, hey, we got some good ones out there, man. I hope hopefully there will be some more made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time a really good one came out?
The
Long
last
time, right?
decent one I can remember is like We Are Marshall, maybe something like that. Like, I guess
Well,
The
I think
Blind Side is pretty
the
recent,
the Blind
and
Side,
Draft
yeah.
Day.
Blind Side was '09. We Are Marshall's '06. Uh,
I'd say
when
Draft Day
was
was probably the most recent of the ones I mentioned, at least.
I didn't that's 2014. Wow.
Something I
Draft Day.
considered just because the story is very important to me, even though I didn't love the movie, was Concussion.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, I almost feel like it's anti-football to put that on a football list.
Yeah, but very real, and
Very real.
I know we both got a ton of stories that we want to tell, so I'll save that discussion for another day. But um, yeah, yeah, definitely a movie I considered at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, there you have it, folks. A little bit of disagreement in the middle there, but at the top, I feel like we're pretty on the same page. Rudy program, remember the Titans, kind of a consensus both in the top five ish for both of us. Let us know what you think. Am I crazy for liking the Waterboy as much as I do? Do you agree? Do you hate me for calling Any Given Sunday overrated? Um,
Yeah, seriously. Any given Sunday, man. My name is Steve or Willie. Willie B, man. I keep the ladies.
uh,
There's Steven. You get to feed me. You're dreaming. Oh man.
So next we'll have to do favorite basketball movies of all time. I've got a lot of opinions